time to talk about more of the Madden 22 beta, the test realm, as we would show. And again, we cannot show you guys anything, any screen captures, any clips, any footage. I wish I could, because there's some things in there, and as if you guys have played it, you've seen visual issues with the game. And again, to me, I know that I'm playing a beta. I know that I'm playing a game that is it's not even current, right? So the way that this normally works is the version we're playing isn't the most up-to-date version. We're probably playing a version that was from May, probably, right? There's a build coming, there's a patch coming. I'm going to explain a lot of that to you guys. I might get a little technical with some of the stuff as to why we shouldn't overly worry about stuff in the beta and the stuff that I've seen and the questions I have going forward. So let's go. If you're looking to build the best team in Madden, make sure you head over to MMOEXP.com to avoid the packs and save some racks. Use code CC for 5% off. Link is in the description below. Fastest coins, cheapest coins. Use code CC. We'll see you guys on the sticks. 5% off. Be great. Hey, what is going on, Madden family? We are here, and again, we're talking about the beta, okay, for Madden 22. I'm going to give you guys my feedback from playing the game, some things I've seen, and again, some of the stuff I'm really saying it to just put it out in the open, so that it just becomes more of a common knowledge thing. And again, things that I assume they'll be fixed, right? Regardless, but if you just assume something's going to be fixed and you don't say anything about it, maybe it doesn't get fixed, right? So the way that the beta works is, if you guys are, a little more technical, follow along with me here. We are playing on a patch version. We'll call it patch 1, right? EA has been working on, say, patch 2 for a while. So we are not even playing on the most up-to-date version of it. That's why EA is always plans to give us a patch during the beta. And again, it's obviously a work in progress and all that, but it's also a very smart technique that they do, because then it gives us a very good appearance that they are changing things and they are working on things. Even though we're not getting the work that they've done this week, right? We're getting the work that they've done last week, 2 weeks ago and all that. But again, it shows, hey guys, we're working on stuff still, right? So it's while it's a smart thing to do, the way they did do it that way. So obviously when we see things that are wrong with the game, especially visually, connection wise, I know a lot of people are experiencing connections getting into games, right? Got to assume that's probably not going to be a big thing at launch. It can't be. Same thing with visual clues, visual issues, people who player skins who are rainbows. You got to assume they're going to fix that. You would hope, right? Other stuff with during replays in the game, the field looks kind of bad. Again, I assume they're going to fix stuff like that. But one thing I have noticed is in the halftime adjustment stuff. So if you don't know what the halftime adjustments is this year, it's where you get to change your active abilities at halftime. And I think it's a good thing to have. It's very football-like, right? It adds, we'll call it realism. Sure, why not? But it doesn't work great right now. And again, this is something I'm only saying this because I want to make sure that it gets resolved. What I've noticed is, if someone tries to quit the game at halftime, you get the loss for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that seems to be a thing. 2, you also have players who are active on special teams. Those players at halftime all of a sudden become deactivated, like your kicker, right? You have focus kicker in the first half and not in the second half. That needs to be resolved, right? And again, going into even more depth with it, I could probably add more abilities to my players and my team and all that, to try to switch stuff up. But again, as long as like both players go into halftime and they're both like, yes, I just want to continue, everything is fine except for the special teams part. But that being said, talking about abilities, you can actually go through and you can add any ability to any player in MUT right now. Cool, whatever. That's not going to be the way it is, right? There's also a 10-point AP system. Again, probably assume they'll keep it to 10. We'll adjust APs. You're obviously not going to be able to get every ability in day one for every player, or just every ability for the quarterbacks. Archetypes are still a thing. But what this is doing is it's giving us a really good chance to look and test abilities. So if you were playing this game, I ask you greatly to go through and use different abilities and test different abilities to see what's working, what's not working. Because again, while we're focused a lot on how does the game play, We want to see if these abilities truly actually work. You know, I've tried to use film study. It really doesn't work, right? Again, I would be fine with film study not being in the game. And again, just because things are in the game or things aren't in the game, that doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be on release. Are all these abilities going to be in the game? I don't know. Maybe. Are we going to get new ones? Maybe. I don't know, right? We don't know. The next big thing I see a lot of people talking about is this home field stadium, this momentum thing. We don't see that in MUT currently, but I think that's going to be a thing in MUT. I would imagine it's such a big focus, this dynamic game day, and it worries me a little that some of these things sound like those OP abilities we don't really like, but we'll have to see how it gets implemented, assuming it gets implemented into MUT. If it doesn't, you know, it is what it is. That's fine by me. If it does, okay, well, we'll adapt to it and work through it and all that. But again, I feel like if you're going to have it, you should have to have like your team, your stadium, your jerseys, everything should have to sort of match. It just makes sense, right? That's if you're trying to have that sort of realism there, it is what it is. But again, a lot of those momentum factors of extra fatigue, not being able to hot run and all that, I'm cool with some of this stuff, right? As long as it's not really overpowered and as long as it really doesn't completely change the game. If you get momentum within a game and you want to make it harder for a team to do something temporarily, cool. But at the same point, if you've played and you've seen, you will see that the away team can actually get that as well, right? So they can start to take that momentum for them. So it is what it is. We're going to have to really play with that a lot more, see how it gets implemented into MUT and handle it from there. Again, no issues with it right now, but I feel like that is going to be a place where we are going to be dealing with balancing issues potentially in the future, for sure. Now, last time we also talked about chemistries. They seem to be kind of gone, and they're in place with like these chemistry cards. How that is all going to work, how you're going to acquire these cards, is there going to be speed items? Again, we just don't know at all. So I would just want to have a little bit of faith that EA is going to be able to control that well enough on their side. And the last thing here, as I've been playing the game a lot, and I played a lot on Madden 21 Next Gen, people say the game is very similar. It is similar. It's more similar than obviously that it is to current gen, but we also don't know what the current gen version of Madden 22 looks like either. Nobody's played it. Nobody's seen it. We don't know, right? We just don't know. So there's such a huge unknown there. But if you are playing the beta, you obviously have a next gen console. What I would tell you is if you want to prepare to get good at Madden 22 right out the gate, by playing the beta and all that is great. But there's going to be obviously about a month or so when you can't play the beta. What I would say then is if you want to practice, go play Madden 21 Next Gen. It is not as good of a game as 22 is, as it feels right now. The movement in 21 is a little bit slower. The reaction times on things are slower. But some of the things that are very similar, again, the movement is similar. It's like 1's a 3, 1's a 4, right? So they're close here. I would still like to see 22s be raised up a little bit more. Just a bit of a boost there for sure, but it's definitely better. But a lot of the animations and sort of the movement with running the ball, breaking tackles and doing all that is very similar. What I would do is get used to that. Certain plays that you can run in 21 will probably work pretty well in 22. The biggest difference between the gameplays, besides movement and all that, is just reaction time and flat zones right now. In 21 Next Gen, they play it okay, right? 22, they don't really react at all. You can just throw the flats whenever you really truly want. So again, work on that and start planning an offense out. I know in MUT you're kind of stuck with Tampa Bay's playbook, but I'm not telling you to go play it in MUT. I'm telling you to go into practice modes and all that and figure out what you really want to do. Because the more you play Next Gen 21, at this point, you're going to have a slight advantage going into 22. There's a reason why I've been playing this game on the beta. And again, record doesn't matter. People aren't trying so hard and whatever, but it's an easy play for me The first couple games were a little tricky because, again, I hadn't played on next gen for a while, but now getting sort of your sea legs back under you, I think it's important. So it's a really good thing to go in, try next gen. Even I would say, just based on how it all is, if you're planning on playing on current gen for 22, even though we can't play the beta for it, I imagine it's probably similar to Madden 21 current gen. I just don't see a ton of change. 21 current gen is a good game. And you've been playing that a lot, so maybe that's where you just want to go in there and see. Again, game speed is going to be different. Some of the metas and stuff will be different. Coverages and zones, they work a little bit differently here. I feel like the coverages aren't fully tuned in 22 yet, how zones really react. And again, it was something that EA even brought up in their notes for the beta. But I feel like it's probably not even as far along as they think it is. So again, try stuff out, play the game, get used to the movement and all that. And I think the movement should be okay. Again, with the expectation, they even take it up a notch again. Normally, what they do between the beta and release, or the beta and like the first or second patch, is tune movement within the game. Then they don't normally touch it at all. But this is our one chance. This is our chance to actually have things change slightly. It's not going to be crazy arcadey, but just a little bit more. So that's my feedback. I want to know exactly what you guys are looking at, and try and put your questions down below. If you have questions, if you haven't played, if you have questions and you have played, I want to go through them. I'm going to answer every single thing that you guys put in the comment section. I feel like that's sort of, it's my job, right? So do that. Be great. I love you guys. I'm out.